We will begin. First of all, good morning, everyone. I know it's probably not the best time to have a Google Meet, but just to keep you on the same schedule, getting you up bright and early to keep progressing on your work. Hopefully, we don't have to continue doing this for much longer than next week. Hopefully, we will be back in person on the 19th of October. Realize once we come back as well, we are going to just keep progressing with our work. We will not stand still and give you time to work on the things that you were supposed to be doing when we are online. So keep that in mind. When we come back, we're just going to keep moving forward. Specifically, now we're getting into the camera functions. Now, I know some of you do not have a DSLR or a mirrorless camera that's similar to a DSLR camera at home. So I gave you the option of working on your cell phone as well, but I'll show you, in case you do have a DSLR, where you can find white balance on a Nikon and a Canon camera, and also on your cell phone if you're going that route. It looks like nobody has completed their work yet. I just opened it up yesterday for the white balance assignment, so we'll need to keep progressing with that. So to show you at first, and excuse my camera, it's probably going to be backwards for you, but this first one is a Canon camera. And realize to access the white balance mode, you need to get out of the automatic settings, which are the ones with the symbols. You need to go into the M, the AV, the TV, or the P right there. I'm in P right now, and mine is pretty easy to find. All I have right down here is a WB, standing for white balance. And once I hit that, hopefully camera's not dying. Once I bring that up or hit that button, it brings up all the different white balance settings that you will be using for your first assignment dealing with white balance, which is just taking photos in those different settings of the exact same thing in indoor lighting, outdoor lighting, and then lighting with direct light. So lights would be off and just one light on your object. Object can be anything of your choosing. I did a toy example, and that's the image that I sent to you for today. So that's Canon. Nikon's a little bit different, and this is a bit of an older one, but still the same. You just have to look for the WB wherever that may be on your camera. This one works a little differently. Let me go to my menu. So in Nikon, you hit the WB and then you scroll with the functions up top to change the white balance setting, which there's a pre-program mode, incandescent light. There's a few more than the 5 that you have to do for your assignment, but you only have to do 5 for that. So if you have a DSLR or a mirrorless digital camera at home, that's ideally what you'll want to be using for this week and next week as well. If you do not have a DSLR camera, do not fret. You're still going to be learning how white balance works. You're just going to be using Lightroom CC app, which it is free for you to download and for you to use, and it has all the capabilities of a DSLR camera that we will be working with. So once you download Lightroom, so excuse my cell phone, you're going to see all my apps on it. But mine is right in the middle, the Lightroom app. It's LR. And make sure you download Lightroom CC, not the Lightroom original one, or the classic as it's called. Once you have that downloaded, down here at the bottom right-hand corner, there's going to be a camera that you use to click. And then it brings up the camera settings as well. And we are focusing on white balance, which same thing, it's labeled with the WB as in white balance. And then down below or up top, once you hit that setting, all of the different white balance settings come into play: the automatic, the incandescent, fluorescent, daylight, and cloudy. There's only 5 settings on the Lightroom CC app, so you'll be using one of each of those ones. Taking a photograph of the exact same object in the 3 different lighting situations, which you'll plug those all onto a Google slideshow. All 5 photos of the indoor lighting on the same slide, all 5 photos of the outdoor lighting on the same slide, and all 5 photos of your direct light source on the same slide. It's a pretty quick assignment. It doesn't take that long to do. The next step that we will be doing is the one that takes a little bit longer. So to follow along, please open up your photo that I sent to you in photop.com, and you can follow along with exactly what I'm going to be doing of the editing, so you're familiar with it once you get into your editing. So let me present my screen quickly. Okay, so you will be editing 3 photos that do not have the correct white balance setting in your photos. And the whole idea behind this project is, in case you do take a photo that you really enjoy or really want to keep progressing on with it for the subject or the composition or whatever, but the lighting may be off, there are ways to fix that, which we're going to be learning about right now. Hopefully, once we've learned about white balance, we can avoid the wrong white balance in your photos. But just in case you do take a photo and the white balance is not correct, then you can go back in and edit it to make it look like it should be. So this photo that I've shared with you and opened up in Photopea definitely is not correct. It has way too warm of colors for what the object is. And we learned last week about color theory, about certain color combinations. Warm colors are our yellows, oranges, and reds. And this one definitely has an orangey tint to it. And our white, like in the bottom of the truck, isn't actually white in our photograph. It is white on the truck, but not in here. So to edit this to make it correct for what we would actually see in person, we're going to edit this down. So to do that, you hold Command A, which we're going to select this entire photograph. Oh, gotta be in my select tool. Command A, and you'll see this dotted line come around the photograph. That means we just selected the entire thing. Command A as an apple, and then we're going to copy it, which is Command C, and then paste it, which is Command V. And it will take a little bit, especially because my internet is going slow right now, but a new layer is going to pop up right here in just a minute. My computer's working hard. There we go. Layer 1. So one, we always have this as a reference to go back into to see what we have done to compare and contrast. because as we get going in the editing process, we will forget what it originally looked like. So it's always good to have the original down below to compare and contrast for it. So our next step is figuring out some of the colors format, the actual numbers, color combinations in our photograph. So to open, let me open this up. If you go over here on the left hand side into our tool section, there's the eyedropper tool, which once I hit the eyedropper tool and I start scrolling over my image, you can see these numbers in this info area start to change. That's giving us basically our formula for the color that we have right now. And I'm gonna unshare my screen right now. Just a little Post-it with a red, green, blue labeled, and also a dark, medium, and light is what those stand for, just to take notes over these number figures to compare once I start editing, because we're going to be going back to these numbers. In Photoshop, they log them for you, but in Photopea, they do not log them. So let me share my screen back with you. So like last week, we also introduced in color theory how we need to start seeing color in values, which values are light and darks, which my first is a dark, finding the darkest color or the darkest value in my image. So just my background basically is what I see as the darkest value. So I'm just going to jot down the R, which stands for red, the G, which stands for green, and the B stands for blue. Those numbers on this Post-it, just for my own sense. Then I'm going to go to my lightest value of them all, or my lightest color that I see, which to me it looks like this tiny little part on the truck of the direct light coming through. And already my numbers are very, very different than what they were in my dark. So my red is a 254, my green is a 216, and my blue is a 115. And then just a middle value or a middle color, I'm just going to go with this orange of the truck. My red is 255, my green is 164, and my blue is 57. And especially in those low numbers, we are going to match those numbers up, which doesn't probably mean a whole lot to you right now, but I'll show you what we're going to be doing. So next we're going to start editing this photo. So to do that, we're going to go up to Layer, New Adjustment Layer, and go up and over to Levels. And it brings up this new window, and once you open it up, it will come into this RGB, which stands for red, green, and blue. But we are going to do each of these numbers individually, which on my little Post-it note, I'm going to slide my darkest value over to my lowest number, which I had I had 1, 3, and 14, which I'm going to try to find the middle value. And because my photo already has warmish values to it already, it's not going to do too much to the photo while I'm in the reds. We're going to see more of the adjustment happening when we get into our greens and our blues. So I'm going to go in the middle between 1 and 14 and do a 7 and scroll these over. And then my highest number for red was 255, which I already have. So I'm just going to leave those for now. Later I can come back and adjust them if I would like, but I can keep moving. And in Photopea, you're not going to see the effect as well until you start releasing your mouse. And as I go far over to the right side, you can start to see that it's taking some effect, but I don't want it to be that extreme for right now. So I'm just gonna go 7, and then now I'm gonna go green, which my lowest number for green was 3. I'm gonna start adjusting. And we just keep playing. And you as the artist get to decide, when is the editing good? When are you done, basically? We know right now it's not where we want it to be, so we're gonna keep adjusting. And around 240 is usually your sweet spot for your editing. And I just released my color or my layer right now. Here, I'll move this over. So here's edited, here's unedited right now. So way, way, way warmer. I can still keep pushing if I so choose, that it's still a little too orange for my preference. And keep playing the way that I would like. Let's compare. So it's getting better little by little. And definitely now I'm starting to see my whites in here a little bit more as my white. That's what I'm striving to get, which to me that's looking pretty good for right now. Let's compare. So that's unedited and this is edited, which to me that looks pretty on point. There's a certain level of editing that you can do. I mean, in the time frame, I could go into this and really make my whites white and all my other colors correct, but just for our time today, we're just going to be doing a little bit of the editing. But once you decide as the artist, okay, this is good, this looks like it should be in normal lighting situation the way that I see it, then all you need to do is file, and this one we export as a JPEG, which they label theirs JPG. There's no E, still the same thing though. So you hit JPEG, and the sizing's pretty good. This is a high resolution photo. You could tell with these numbers right here if they are anything really over like 500's pretty darn good. And then we save it. And for me personally, I don't like the names that they save it as. I like to show it and re-title it once I'm trying to find it. So I'll just do truck edit. I believe this is my third one. And save it. Once you're done editing your 3 photographs that have incorrect white balance, you are going to plug those in on a Google slideshow as well, with your before edited photo and your after editing photo right next to each other side by side, so you can see the comparison like we have right here and right now. So that's your week's work. When I checked this morning, it looked like nobody had got it done just yet. The longest part is going to be the editing process. But once you get the gist of it, and I highly recommend jotting down those numbers just to reference back when you are switching up those levels, can make for a big difference. Make sure we're staying on top of our work, trying not to get behind. Ideally, you should be working on photography's work during our photography time that we would be in class. So the 8 basically to 9:15ish, and turning everything in on Canvas. If you do have questions or comments, please, please, please do not hesitate to reach out. I see lots of us are getting a little bit behind. Just remember, as I stated at the beginning of this meeting, once we come back to school, hopefully on the 19th, we have to keep progressing with our curriculum. We can't stop and let you catch up on your online work time. So just keep that in mind for when we come back. But do any of you have questions, comments, issues that you're working on? Okay, then if not, I will let you ladies and gents go. Thank you for coming to this and being on time. We'll meet next week as well when we go over ISO in cameras. If you download that Lightroom CC app and start playing around with it, you could start playing around with ISO and getting a gist for it after you've got your white balance assignment done. But other than that, hopefully I'll see you all next week, or if not, on the 19th. But take care. We'll see you later. Let me see. Where did your message just go? Mm-hmm.